All right, and we're live. Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 48 of the Multiverse show. This is going to be a fun one, guys. We got a lot of good topics to cover in so little time, but we will be rocking on through. First off, I want to introduce my co-host, one of the top three, one of the foundation members of the Multiverse show, Nick.
What's going on, guys? Good to be back on the podcast on a Monday.
All right, and we also got our Soundmaster General for not much longer, James.
It's good to be on a podcast on a Tuesday because I'm currently in sunny Sydney, Australia. Hello, everyone, at James_S Wilson. Come talk to me on Twitter about films, Radiohead, and other good things.
All right, and we got our newest host for the show, Mike.
What's going on, guys? It's Mike from The Inner Circle. Check me out on The Inner Circle at www.ticgn.com. You can also check me out on Xbox, Twitter, YouTube, PSN at Mike P. The Truth.
All right, we actually have a guest for the evening. One of the few times we do have a guest. I want to introduce Amelia Lopez.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
All right, man. I can't wait to get into this. I'm so excited to talk about you so much about all this stuff. We met originally at E3.
Yes.
Yeah, in 2016, and I was surprised because I didn't know who you were, what you did. I met you with Tony Polanco at the time, and I was like, oh wow, it's great. So we had a good time, and I enjoyed it. But I found out later you work as freelance for Marvel, and. Yep. I was geeking out so hard when you told me. I didn't know what to say anymore. Oh my gosh, because I'm a huge Marvel nerd. But
oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's one of the jokes within Tick that I am Mr. Marvel.
It's funny. Like I remember when we met, I was impressed because all you guys had like really awesome shirts on. You all had your little logos on the shirts, and I was like, "Wow, that's awesome." And I'm talking to Tony. I'm like, "Yo, we need to do something like that, man."
Yeah, man. It's not gonna be much longer before those shirts are gonna be available. We're gonna start selling.
Oh, which I still do not have, by the way.
We're working on that.
I also do not have one.
I was gonna say I need a 6XL because I'm so damn tall and fat. So get to work on that.
Man, you have my old one.
I'm not even sure if your fans even saw it because it's like embroidered and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we were showing them off on Twitter, I think the day of, and people were just geeking out about it. They're like, holy shit, like this is great. And so, man, we got to keep this design. Use this later. So, but anyway, I wanted to use this brief moment to talk about what happened last week because this is something that I did not expect, and I didn't tell the guys I was going to talk about this necessarily, but last week, the last show was on my birthday, and it was a weird time because there's a lot of money issues going on and all this stuff, and looking at an apartment, and all this side stuff was kind of hitting me at once. So I seemed kind of distracted a little on the show last week, but something happened where someone I was basically I had some money problems, and I was looking at like, oh man, I love to get like a PlayStation or a Switch or something like that, and I was just really down in the dumps. I was like, damn it, man, I got this tax refund. It's going to be going to paying bills. I'm just like really, really down. And so the guy had hit me up about a PlayStation that he was going to sell. And so I was like, I can't buy it, man. I'm sorry. And he actually offered to give it to me for free. And I didn't know how to react. And I felt compelled, and I was excited, and I was just completely mind screwed at this point. I was just amazed at just the generosity and the community all jumped in and all did it at once. And then I found out the next day the guy contacted me, and he said he was sorry, and his dad had died that night. And he's like, okay, man, I'm sorry, these plans I can't do this anymore. And I understood, but I was feeling a little down. I was like, damn it, man. And Mike and Nick here contacted me in the morning and asked me what was going on, so I told them. And so later on, I found out they kind of ducked it for a bit and kind of squeezed it out of them. These guys actually pitched together and bought me a PlayStation.
Wow!
I wanted to throw that out there, just the sheer generosity of this community, and especially you, Mike and Nick. I don't know what to say. I wanted to make it out there. You guys are so generous and great pillars of this community.
I was going to say, listen, man, this is Tick. This is Multiverse. We're family. This is what family does.
Pretty much, and it was hilarious because literally I saw the tweets in the morning, and Mike literally, I was just about to hit Mike up about it, and he messaged me probably about 30 seconds before I was going to message him about it, because I was sitting there going, we could throw money into this all together. I just don't have a U.S. address to ship this thing, and Mike really came through on everything. That's for sure.
I just wanted to put that out there. I really appreciated that, guys. It made my week and possibly the month. I want to say thank you, guys.
Yeah. So if you guys ever want to send me a Switch,
We can find it.
Tell you what, I'll send you a Joy-Con remote. At least the shipping won't be
$80. Oh man! But anyway,
I'll send you a picture of a PSN code.
beautiful.
All right, we got some topics we got to get into tonight because we got a ton of things to blitz through real quick. But first off, I want to do this interview real quick, just a mini interview of sorts with Mr. Lopez here. We had a couple questions we wanted to ask you about some stuff. I think Mike, get the first one.
Yeah. So Emilio, I had a chance to check out your LinkedIn profile, and your experience is extensive and impressive, quite frankly.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, you have experience with Nickelodeon, with DC Comics, Fox, 2K, doing some stuff with BioShock. So just tell us and tell our listeners a little bit about your overall history with comics and gaming, how you got into it, that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, how I really got started was like, obviously I wanted to be a comic book artist. So I went to the school of art and design, and I went to the School of Visual Arts in New York City. And my main goal was to become a comic book artist. And what kind of happened was I interned at Marvel at about 1998. If you guys don't know 1998 was a certain point in time when Marvel was going bankrupt, which is kind of funny hearing now that Marvel is, making millions and millions of dollars. But back then, they were hiring more people than they were firing. So, I mean, they were firing more people than they were hiring. So at the time, I'm like, I really wanted to work at Marvel, but I'm like, they're not really looking for new talent at this point in time. So, but I'm like, I really don't have any other things I can do. I can't be a lawyer. I can't be any of these other things. I'm not smart enough, or, I was already down the art road. So that at that point, I decided I was going to make myself familiar with as many things as possible, so that as well in the art field, so that there was no real excuse as to if I was going to be hired for any job, because I could pretty much do everything under the sun. A lot of times I tend to joke I'm like a one-man studio. So pretty much from there, under that same idea, so in college I took an internship at For Kids Productions, which is the company that not only they used to localize Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, but one of the first shows that they just did, which was produced internally, which was the Ninja Turtles cartoon. That was in 2003, and from there, that's where I got into animation production. So I was hired on as eventually I was hired on as a background painter, and then I was a character and prop color designer, and then I did incidental character design on the Ninja Turtles cartoon. So like from there, that's where I kind of ended up in all these other different things, working as a card painter for some card games. I worked on the World of Warcraft card game. So later on, I worked on a bunch of different things. So it was that idea. So that idea of like becoming available as for whatever artistic job that I could do is kind of how I kind of got around to different, these different jobs. So that's kind of how I've been able to stay afloat. That's actually kind of a good way to go, especially nowadays, because so many of the different fields cross over. Animation, from comics to storyboarding, which I've done. All these different things are all relative. It's the only thing that separates them is what the type of content that they're creating. But once you become familiar with these different types of contents and the different types of things that mediums that offer, they really aren't that different from each other.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing, man. And just also just taking a look at some of the stuff you've done some work with with video game franchises. I saw you did some of the promotional work for the BioShock remaster.
Yeah, so the funny thing that actually came, how I got that job was, like, at some point in time, for the hell of it, Metal Gear Solid 5 was coming out, and I was just doing. I wanted to create. I usually, when I do comic book shows, I usually try to create a little book that people can purchase from me. Like, oh, hey, it's got all your artwork, and I'll do a little fun sketch inside for them. For that year, I was like, you know what? I really wanted to do. I don't have a lot of time, but I have all this Metal Gear art that I drew. So at that point, I just started posting it and posting it on Twitter, and it started getting a lot of attention by Kojima and Konami and all the different Konamis from around the world. So from there, it's kind of funny. So like, I actually am known more for my Metal Gear art than the work that I've done for Marvel or any of the other franchises that I've done. So how I got the 2K job is that a former a guy who was a part of the he worked at Konami Europe or Konami UK, and he had just recently left to go to 2K, and he's like, hey, BioShock Remastered's coming out. We want to do these comic book covers. Are you interested? And I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So that's how I got that one.
That's great, man. And yeah, that was one of the things, especially when I was at your E3, you were just giving out all this Metal Gear stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure if I gave you a little thing. I don't know. Like, if anything, I'll send you one.
No, I got your card.
Yeah. Yeah, my card, for those of you that probably haven't seen it, like on the front I have my little logo, but on the back I made it like my where it's like the the MSF thing. So it's like the front has my little logo, if you guys can see right there, and then on the back you can see that it's like one of the MSF like dossiers from the Metal Gear Peace Walker.
Awesome. That's really cool.
I still got it. Let's see if I can find it. But yeah, Undead, I think you got a question next.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious from just a working standpoint. What's it like working like at Marvel as like you seem like more like you're an independent contractor for them and you do a lot of different stuff. So what's it like doing that?
Well, for Marvel, Marvel and DC aren't exactly that different from each other. Pretty much every single artist that works there is all working freelance on page rates. So they're all getting paid. They're producing artwork, and then they're each page that they do, they're getting paid for it. So that's kind of the way the industry works nowadays, which is good and bad, because especially the good part, it's like you can kind of work it in pretty much multiple studios and no one bats an eye. But the other side is taxes, which kind of sucks because they don't unlike a full-time job, like a full-time day job, they don't actually take the taxes out of your checks. So when tax time comes at the end of the year, you kind of get hit pretty hard. Working at Marvel it's cool. I mean, I've worked there. I actually interned in the studio years ago, and I've actually never been to the current studio. Nowadays, Marvel is a lot more. Their doors are a little more closed as far as coming in. You have to kind of, talk to the editors, and then they have to, call security and do all kinds of stuff because. Nowadays, people want to blow somebody up for just making Captain America a fucking, excuse my language, making Captain America into a Hydra agent. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the industry's a lot more like contract work and a lot more like work from home, independent kind of deal.
Yeah, I've only met my editor once, and the most hilarious part of it is kind of how I got the job at Marvel. I met my editor because he's also the Spider-Man editor, or the editor of Mosaic. He is I met him at jury duty. Okay, so when you go, obviously, for those of you who've got the jury duty, when you go in there, they sit you in the audience, sit you in there, and they call you up and they ask you what you do, and and a little bit of your background because they're selecting the jury. So. So he said, "Oh yeah, I'm an editor for a comic book, at Marvel Comics or something like that." And then I said, "Oh yeah, I'm an illustrator and colorist I'm an illustrator and colorist and I work in animation and stuff." And they're like, "Oh, okay, nice." And so then later on, after they go to lunch and we all sit down, he goes over to me. He's like, "So what books do you work on?" And I'm like, "Oh, I actually do a lot of work with Kari Randolph, who draws." At the time, we were doing a book called Tech Jacket, and I do a lot of work, and I've illustrated for Aspen Comics and stuff like that. And he's like, "Oh, hey, do you have Kari's number?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure, here." And then I go send Kari a little message. I'm like, "Yo, dude, I just met Nick Lowe at jury duty, and I just sent him your number. So I just gave him your number. So I guess you should be expecting a call from me." He's like, "Yo." So from there, that was like maybe 2012. So then after we finished our time on Tech Jacket with Robert Kirkman, we get a call from Marvel. After we finish We Are Robin, then we get the call from Marvel. So that's kind of how we how we got onto Mosaic. And Mosaic needed a little bit of a ramp up time. So we actually ended up our first gigs at Kari's worked at Marvel years ago. He worked on like Spider-Clan and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But this was my official first time working with Marvel since I've actually interned there in 1998.
That's amazing, man. Yeah. So yeah, you gotta mention Mosaic for a bit. For those of you that don't know, Mosaic's a relatively new character over at Marvel. He's actually a human who goes through Terrigenesis and has a really interesting power set. Just like it was like a little bit of shape shifting, possession. Mm-hmm. It's amazing, man. And I saw the color work you did on that. It's really amazing. You're telling me you're kind of like the anti-Iron Man in terms of coloring. What was your kind of experience though? Like kind of working to create Mosaic and his design.
Oh well, for usually when me and Kari work together, we kind of like he'll send over a design and be like, "Hey, I'm thinking of doing this," and then from there we kind of work out what was there. But for Mosaic this time around, we had worked on a very complicated book with Tech Jacket for Kirkman. Tech Jacket is pretty much like Space Iron Man. Like he's got all these shides, he's got all these like different things, and obviously he's for Kari, it's like he's essentially a robot, and keeping all of those shapes together and having to draw them over and over and over again was it takes a while. It can be difficult sometimes, especially sometimes some things you'll miss or some things like that. So in a way, Mosaic was the anti Tech Jacket, because we didn't want to deal with having to deal with a bunch of different colors or having shiny robots parts or anything like that. So the way he's designed is that Mosaic's body is almost amorphous. You could pretty much draw him any way as long as you get get it right, you can draw it pretty much any way you want it to. So it's easy for Kari because he doesn't need to stay exactly consistent from panel to panel because he's always kind of moving and stuff. And then for me, I didn't want to have to deal with a lot of colors. So I think Mosaic in general has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors on him. Like most of them being on his face, and then his body is just one color, and then his eyes are white, and the chest mosaic is also white. So we gotta did it because we didn't want to have to deal with a lot of a really, really complicated character to kind of reproduce. Mm-hmm. Which also works out for a lot of the artists because we're doing a big crossover with the Inhumans, and Mosaic has shown up in X-Men and a bunch of other books, which is also helps those guys as well because there's not too many things that they need to keep track of. Like as long as you get it pretty close enough, you're good to go. As to opposed to somebody like a Spider-Man or an Iron Man they're very specific, and if you even mess up a little bit, it looks off.
Mm-hmm. All right. And James, I think you had the last question, actually.
Yes, I believe I did. You seem very knowledgeable about comic books. Some artists just draw the stuff and then go away. What is your favorite comic book character?
Oh,
Other than Mosaic. Throw that
other than Mosaic. I've always liked the Spider-Man. He's probably one of my favorites, and it's not because I work for the Spider-Man editor. No, he's
from that.
He's always.
So I was saying,
a favorite of mine.
Did you like when Mosaic possessed Spider-Man?
I did like that portion of time. It was good. It was good to actually get in and do a little bit of a Spider-Man action in there.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So I guess the follow-up to that is, I guess, a little more specific. What was your favorite rendition of Spider-Man in terms of artists?
Let's see. Obviously, I'll say I always liked the black suit. It was always a fun, to do that. I do have to say I did like the Todd McFarlane era, and on a close second, I have to say I always liked John Romita's runs on it too. Probably one of my favorite runs of Spider-Man is the first Straczynski run before the other and all that other junk. Was just the one where he had more when he was fighting Morlun and all those other characters, and I liked the structure of those books where they had an overarching story, but each of the issues were single stories. So you could kind of jump in at any point, what happens in that single story. And then, obviously they would remind you of the wider story, usually at the end or some point in the story. And I always liked that run for that reason.
So kind of like was it Evolve or Die line, like with Moreland in particular?
I think it was where it was like he, I just thought that run was really fun and interesting, and it kind of, and then obviously there was all these fun new villains they were making, like the one that was like a mobster Hulk. He was he was made out of like mobsters that were all buried in the friggin' desert.
Oh yeah, what was that? I used to get him confused with Solomon Grundy for some reason.
He's kind of like he is a little bit like Solomon Grundy, but yeah, like he is like a Hulk that was made of all these these mobsters. And there's this one really great section where he comes back to New York or something like that. He's like, "What's going on here? This was a great club. Now you're playing this crazy music." I was like, I always thought that guy was cool. I liked Morlun. I liked, there was also that there was a really fun little digs on the Spider-Man movies in there too, because that was also when the Spider-Man films were coming out. So they were kind of goofing on that. I made some character called Lobster Man that I think Mary Jane was in a movie she was in the movie playing a character in the movie of that, like an adaptation of that character or something. But it was a fun one. And there was also that really great bit where they were alluding to some sort of crazy future story where Spider-Man with this I think he met the guy the guy who would make the one of the guys who would design people's clothing.
Oh, Leo Zielinski.
Yeah, he visited that guy and he's like, "Hey, your costume looks like it was made by like a 19 or 16-year-old in high school. I got this thing." And it was like a really cool jacket, like a reversible jacket that he could easily. And I was like, "Man, why didn't he ever use that?" But
I remember they put that in Spider-Man: Edge of Time.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, really? No one actually remembered this? Like, I was like,
that was a cool
I
one.
love that costume. Simple. I love that costume. So, all right, guys, we got topics to cover. So real quick, I know just digital showing of hands real quick. Who actually went to go see Power Rangers?
This is the first time I can't put my hand up.
I'm actually disappointed in you, James.
Well, I'm on holiday. Leave me be.
Yeah.
Wouldn't going to see a movie also be part of holiday?
Not when it's your job.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Nick, we're in our era here, Nick. Come on.
No. No. I was gonna say, Mike threw me under the bus in the Twitter conversation for my comments on Power Rangers, so I'll keep those to myself.
I haven't seen it either, and I wasn't really planning to see it, but I do know about the story of the film. So
I also have not seen it.
Yeah. I don't know. It might be because of just my age in particular, growing up with Power Rangers, and then being banned from seeing Power Rangers growing up until later.
Why were you banned from watching Power Rangers?
I was going to say, what?
Well, I mean, the way I grew up, I was in a fundamentalist Christian home, so fighting was bad. So,
my heart bleeds for you.
So it wasn't until I was like 11, and then it was like, yeah, screw it. Go ahead and watch it.
It's funny. I think that was the 96 that show came on, right?
93.
Yeah.
It's exactly
93. I was 13 years old, and obviously I was a little too old for that sort of thing. But me and Tony would watch that show all the damn time because it combined two things. Like, at least for me, it combined two things that I always used to love when I was younger, which was those kind of giant robots shows, like kind of Godzilla, kind of Voltron stuff. And then it also was martial arts, and I used to love watching kung fu films. So it was kind of like a cool, like a superhero kung fu team.
Yeah, it was. It was the same thing for me back then, because I think I was 8 or 9, I believe, when they first came out, and I loved it. I never saw any of the other ones past the original. Like I never saw Power Rangers Neo or anything like that. I'm just talking about the original one.
Oh yeah, the Green
my introduction to. Sorry, you go ahead.
Oh no, go.
I'll say my introduction to Power Rangers was, I think, Time Force or Wild Force. It was quite late on. I say quite late on. It's like the 8th or 7th series of 15. I know it's still running. Yeah, no, I was really into Power Rangers when I was a kid, and I fooled myself into thinking the original movie was good.
Oh, James.
Which it isn't. It isn't.
But it is good.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. It's terrible. It's so bad that they retconned it and provided a reason for why the ninja powers are there in the TV show.
I always felt that the movie kind of existed on its own plane. It had all the same characters, but it
wasn't
really
the original
didn't.
plan.
Yeah.
The plan was to have the movie, and then it would continue on, and the movie would be canon. But then it didn't. Nobody really liked the writing of it, so they created an alternate timeline where they got the ninja powers some other way.
Yeah. But man, you can't be hating on Ivan Ooze.
He was actually probably the best thing in that movie.
Yeah, probably. Oh my god, I remember watching that as a kid.
The one thing that always bugs me with American choreography or Western choreography and like Japanese and Asian choreography, it just doesn't have that same speed. Like, it's always just kind of one punch, shaky cam sort of stuff in the States stuff and the Western stuff. But then in the Japanese stuff, it's all like really high energy. They're flipping off of walls and doing all this stuff. And that was the one thing that I missed about that movie. It was just like, it didn't have the same feel. It felt like, it felt like like it was produced in the States. I mean, nowadays when they do those shows, like, they literally just call over the Japanese team to do any additional sequences they do. So all this footage matches up perfectly. But in the old days, it was just like, oh, I can see that. That's the Western stuff. There's the Japanese stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes the costumes didn't even match up. Like Green Ranger's like shield was like made of fabric in the Western version, but in Japan it was made out of some sort of plastic or rubber or foam.
Yeah.
Anyway, we should be talking about the film that just came out. Anchor, what did you think?
Yeah, so I went to go see it day one. So,
Why?
It was actually a birthday gift to go see it, and we went to like one of those movie taverns. So I was drunk, so keep that in mind. But I had a good time. I liked it. It was a lot of fun. It was. I like to put it this way. You know that really bad Fantastic Four reboot?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
It's like that, but it actually succeeds in what it was trying to do.
Okay.
Meaning, is a lot. Like there's very, very little morphing time for
But
fans.
I've heard
It's
from
really
people
not.
that
It's actually taking characters before they have powers or abilities and just kind of developing who they are, like developing two-dimensional characters and at least somewhat three-dimensional characters. And it's enjoyable. It kind of has that summer movie vibe. Like it's like, oh yeah, we're fighting ourselves a little bit. But whenever it's time to go, it's time to go. And they have tons of fan service in this thing. And I would kind of cite it as a great example on how to do Easter eggs correctly and not shove it down your throat. Like for example, they have Jason David Frank, the original actor for Tommy, and he's in the movie, and a couple other people are in the movie, but they don't highlight them. They don't make it like it's this big thing. They don't make them a part of the universe or anything like that. Most of them don't even have speaking roles. They're just kind of there.
Tell me something. Is Bulk and Skull there?
Yes, but they are hidden, and you would not notice them after 20 years.
Oh, it was the original guys. Oh, I thought I was asking, are the characters in?
Oh no, none of the characters are like they're not in there. Like they basically retconned all the creepy 90s stuff out of it. So
okay.
So it's I will say the only bad thing about it is they have some pretty bad product placement. Like really bad.
Does it have to do with Krispy Kreme donuts?
But this is worse.
Does it have to do with Krispy Kreme donuts?
Yes. It does. Oh my God.
Here's the thing. The only reason why I say this is because it's all over the place. Like if you saw the premiere thing, like some of the premiere stuff, literally like it's like Power Rangers Krispy Kreme donuts. Like
yeah. Oh, you have you seen the boxes for those donuts? I took a picture of one. They brought some at work, and I saw the boxes. Like I gotta take one of these home. Like I was like, this is one of the best designed promotional boxes I've ever seen. Like this is so good. Like I love it. It's like almost all black, white lettering, nice design in the front. It doesn't slam Power Rangers into your face, but you know what it is. It's like yes. But I should have known when the box designed that well. There was going to be some product placement in this.
When you open the box, does it make the whooshing sound when they like made a fist?
I wish. Oh my gosh, But yeah, there is some bad product placement in it. But yeah, I'd watch if you were raised in the '90s, go take a watch. I may not say go watch it day one or even week 3, but take a watch.
Have a couple of beers before you go get the real Anchorman experience, right?
Get drunk. Get drunk and watch.
Go to the movie tavern.
Actually, what actually did not like going to the movie tavern. I should have gone to my regular place. There's this place called Red Cinemas that I go to. It's like my preferred place, and they have luxury seating, but you can order beer at the front desk. You don't need to be in a special section for it. It's just like, yeah, you want beer? Yeah, go for it.
Does it make an interesting double bill with the other Western-made, original Japanese-made thing of Ghost in the Shell? Isn't it weird that those two things are coming out roughly at the same time?
I don't know if they would go good together, but but yeah, I mean it's fine. Like I said, it's a serviceable movie. It's not bad. It's not great, but it does the job.
I've heard that the kids in the movie are actually quite good.
Yeah, kids are good.
Yeah, go ahead.
The issue in particular is how do you adapt a 20-minute plot structure to almost 2 hours? And so it's like, the traditional Power Rangers plot line of kids have small, innocuous problem that doesn't seem to matter at all. Then main problem services with new villain of the day. They lose the villain of the day, regroup. The innocuous problem becomes real problem. And they somehow use that problem to save the day. And the final one, they go to the Zords and kick its ass. It's out of the way. Done. Like,
well, sometimes it might be a two-parter.
2 hours. And so their general thought process is, let's just stretch out the beginning for an hour and a half, and then do 20 minutes and stretch it out to 40 minutes.
Did they have a juice bar?
No, they have Krispy Kreme.
What?
Blasphemy.
You're too young to remember that. The original Power Rangers all hung out at a juice bar in a karate dojo.
I'm not too. I've seen the original Mighty Morphin. I've seen every series because I'm a completionist.
Oh boy.
Have you ever seen the original Japanese one?
I have seen a couple series of the Sentai, the Super Sentai. Yeah.
They Shout Factory actually released the two I know Zoo Ranger, which is the one that the dinosaur one, and they also released the one after, which is the Thunder Zord one. So they've actually released all the original Japanese ones. Man, those shows are a lot more violent than the American ones, if you can believe that.
Well, there's a nice little thing in the Dino Thunder series, the Western one. There's an episode where they watch a Japanese version because they're like, look, they're these guys. There's this Japanese TV show based on us.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's nice.
You know what's funny? A lot of the fans who've watched those shows, they've actually said that the American version of Dino Thunder was actually better than the one that was in Japan, because the Japan one they said was a little bit really silly.
Yeah, it is.
All right, guys, moving on. We got other things
Wait,
to talk
wait,
about.
before we move on,
Time.
can we please talk about the final topic before we talk about the next one? Because I've got to go soon. I want to talk about the last thing.
Fine. We'll skip ahead. Messing with the agenda, James. All right.
They don't know that.
So
you just let out the
gonna
secret. Let's see.
I want to build up to it. Fine. We'll do Justice League now.
Oh, God.
The Justice League trailer, the first official trailer, not a teaser, an actual trailer, has released. And
okay, I didn't really see it, so you guys talk about it.
What?
I'm kidding. I was kidding.
Oh, man. All right. Digital showing your hands here again. Who's seen the Justice League trailer?
I have.
Yep.
I have not, but I've seen portions of it.
All right, fair. You basically seen it then. It's a lot. It's a compilation of a lot of the old footage that they showed off in that teaser. In particular,
actually, I don't think there's anything from the original teaser in this new trailer.
There's a lot actually.
apart from one bit with the Flash, I don't think there's anything.
No, there's some bits in there. They do show a good bit more, but there's several bits from the original one in there. But yeah, I like the main one being some of the Flash scenes in particular. But real quick, just out of the people who saw it, what were your general impressions? Are you actually hyped for the movie, or did you think it was not that good, or what did you guys think about it?
I mean,
I feel like we just want to go. I feel like Zack Snyder really wants to be Jack White's friend because he's used 2 White Stripes songs now.
That's what that song was. I was like, this sounds familiar.
Hardest Button to Button. It's on the same album as Icky Thump. No, it's not. That's a lie. As I was saying it, I realized no, that's not true.
Yeah, then switched to a Beatles song.
But a cover of a Beatles song.
Yeah. All right. So, Mike?
I was going to say, I did not see the original teaser, so this is the first time I've seen anything for this movie.
Yeah.
For somebody like me, where I'm just like a casual comic book observer, like I don't really know too much in depth about it now, I think it looks entertaining. The one thing that interested me was the take on Aquaman, because at least as far as I remember, Aquaman's always been portrayed as kind of like a dweeb. I mean, in Injustice, he was a badass, and he looks like a badass in this movie, too. So that was the thing that was most interesting to me about the trailer.
Well, he's led the Justice League in multiple times during the past, so, he should be a badass. And he rules over the oceans.
What about Naidu's hook hand? Oh, yeah, Aquaman.
Stop.
That's pretty edgy.
Mullet hook hand Aquaman.
I was it. The thing about the trailer that excited me and worried me at the same time is Zack Snyder always makes good trailers. He always, for every film he's ever made, there's one really good trailer attached to it. Some are bad, but most are really good. And the problem with his films is that he makes films with moments, with great individual moments, but doesn't make the through line to connect them. And I reckon we've seen great moments in these trailers, and we'll see them again in the film, but the connection between them will be thin at best.
Mm.
I'm prepared to be wrong. I'm prepared for this to be a great comic book film. It's not going to be, but I'm prepared for it.
All right, Nick.
So you're not expecting Sucker Punch.
Oh my gosh! No, that's
Sucker
exactly
Punch
what I said.
is misunderstood, but still not very good.
I want to get back to Sucker Punch in a minute. Okay, Nick, talk.
Oh, you're asking the big DC fanboy. I'm curbing my enthusiasm because, as James said, Zack Snyder makes really, really good trailers, but not so good making the whole 30-second trailer into a whole 2-hour movie. So I'm going to curb my enthusiasm. I'm going to say it's going to be an average film. That's my prediction. It's going to be average. It's just like I was one of the few people that thought Suicide Squad was a very good average film. It wasn't.
I completely agree with you on that.
It's not game changing. It's not awful like Batman versus Superman. It was just average. And if DC wants to keep putting out Suicide Squad styled average movies, I'm okay with that.
I mean, the best thing about Wonder Woman so far is her theme. So, that's not great.
Well, the best thing about Wonder Woman so far for me has been the social media upheaval about her not having armpit hair, but we're not going to get into that.
I thought you were just joking when you told me that the other day. I was like, really?
I saw Tony tweet it the other day, so clearly it's not just localized to just my area.
Oh my
there's actually a group of women that are actually boycotting it, locally in my area. There's a group of 40 of them that are boycotting the Wonder Woman movie because of her lack of body hair. I was like, well, okay.
Well, they want her. They will obviously want her to have hairy legs and hairy armpits.
Yeah. Well, I'm an Amazonian woman, so it's not that far of a stretch, really. But let's not make mountains out of molehills here.
But then again, she's literally an Amazon goddess, so maybe she doesn't do that.
Maybe she just doesn't have.
She's also made of clay.
Actually, well, I'm hearing a lot of weird stuff about it. They're actually retconning that as they did with New 52.
Okay.
Although that I'd prefer the clay golem approach, but that would be more fun to argue. I could see great conversations come from that. It's like, well, how did you? If there were no men allowed on the island, well, how did you have? It's like I was made from clay. Okay.
Also, does this film look really cartoony to you guys? In the way that everyone moves?
Yes, it does. I was watching some of it, and it just I don't know. I'm not sure if it's an effect they're using or just how it's been shown. It just kind of comes across, kind of cartoony almost.
It's probably the massive amounts of CG that are in the film because most of the time they're going to be CG characters.
Yeah.
But can we all agree on the best line? What's your superpower? I'm rich.
Oh boy!
They finally said it.
But yeah, I'm so glad you brought up Sucker Punch because it was really funny because I watched the trailer and I was like, this seems familiar, like I've seen this before. So I went back and look at trailer 2 for Sucker Punch. It is almost the exact same structuring. And really? Trailers, you don't get too adventurous with trailers very often. You normally do give a very similar structure. But even then, this one was all right, show one little tidbit of what the story's about. Basically, we're getting a team together. Show a quick, small flash of a possible villain, but still leave it extremely vague. And then just cram the rest of it in the back with just crazy CGI moments. Don't show any downtime. Just show those crazy stuff you can show. So I was like, let's show robot ninjas and dragons, and Nazi zombies, and all this stuff all at once in Sucker Punch. It's kind of the same thing with this one too. They did the same thing, and it's amazing. Watch them back to back. I was like, wow.
Now I had an actual question about that. I've never actually seen Sucker Punch. Is that movie worth watching or no?
I think it's worth watching purely for interest's sake and to say that you've seen it to then have an opinion on it.
It's good eye porn.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's good visual porn.
It's another Snyder film. Looks good, doesn't do anything else good.
Yeah, except I don't think he really even attempts. Okay, let's put it this way: this was coming out in the same time as Inception, where everybody was trying to do, let's do a little mind screwy thing going on here. Let's try a little bit, and this one was like, okay.
So it's kind of like that Bruce Willis film Looper, where he has to go back and kill himself.
No, but Looper's brilliant.
At least that was okay. At least that one had a plot.
Looper's amazing.
But this one was more like, what if we created a reality within a reality of how we, like, small little moments are brought out to be big stuff, and so the main character is really in an insane asylum, but she's really in a burlesque show, and then she's really fighting something else internally. It's like, oh boy.
Doesn't sound like there's enough.
Should I start playing the Curb Your Enthusiasm music as you explain that again?
No.
All I gotta say is you pretty much can turn your. If you need something that's moving, you could watch Sucker Punch. That's, you know what I mean?
This is not a movie I watch while reading or writing an article, because you don't want the audio, you just want the visual, basically.
Yeah, it's a lot of. I mean, there's a lot of very nice visuals inside of the movie, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about Moulin Rouge, but it feels like around that same sort of thing.
Yeah. My wife made me watch that like 7 times.
It's visual. It's like, oh, it's visually nice, but it's really just kind of not such a good film.
Yeah. It's more like, we wanted an excuse to cover some music in some pretty interesting ways. That's pretty much it. But yeah, man, Justice League, I hope it's good. Like I've said this in the past, and I'll say it again. My tap out is going to be Wonder Woman. If Wonder Woman sucks, I'm not watching these movies in theaters anymore. I've kind
of already given up on the kind of DC films. After seeing, I feel like, some people like the Man of Steel. I really didn't care for the Man of Steel film very much. And then seeing Batman, Superman, and it's just like, ooh. So yeah, I think I'm done with it. I didn't even go to see Smoking Aces.
Suicide Squad.
I mean Suicide Squad.
Ooh.
Man,
come on. Smoking Aces is you watch Smoking Aces and then think about Suicide Squad. It's pretty much the same movie.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff I just don't. I think the breaking point where I realized Zack Snyder was such a bad choice to build a foundation on was the interview he gave after Watchmen and Batman Begins came out. Like, oh my God, what was it? He said like, Christopher Nolan's rendition was pretty good with Batman Begins, but if I was in charge, Batman would have been raped in prison.
Whoa, okay.
I was like, and how are you in charge of this?
What movie? What were we doing?
It was after Watchmen came out, and they were talking about.
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
See,
it was such a weird.
I'm in the weird place where I haven't thoroughly enjoyed a really good superhero movie in a couple of years. I find either like DC's too dark, Marvel makes me cringe sometimes, and they're average experiences for me. I haven't been blown away by a superhero movie since I think the first Iron Man movie I was kind of wowed by.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because the expectations are so high now. I feel like the expectations are so high for these films, it's hard to get wowed by them anymore.
Yeah, I think we are kind of reaching this kind of saturation on the market of how much we can take. But this is kind of how movies work in general. There's a point where saturated, we wait for 5 years, then we're back on it again. So, I think the only movie that's the only genre that hasn't really come back has been the Western, but even then we're still trying.
Well, it's like every couple of years they try to release a video game themed movie, and usually it's awful.
Mm-hmm. And now we get an anime. Now we get an anime movie with Ghost in the Shell.
Yep.
Death Note coming to the Netflix soon.
Oh, yeah, that one. All right.
I heard they cast who was it?
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe's the only person that's good in that's going to be brilliant in that film.
Is everybody else?
I don't know about that. I mean, granted,
Right.
obviously you can't. They want to make it more Western, centric, but I don't know. It looks a lot more actiony than the actual anime was.
Who's it gonna be?
What?
Who's Defoe gonna be?
He's Ryuk. He's the guy who gives him the death note.
I'm probably gonna rewatch Spider-Man again and just watch those the Goblin scenes. Like, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, they even showed a trailer. There's a trailer they just showed pretty recently about it.
Trailer, damn.
Yeah, and you get to see some eyes, and then you hear his voice, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's perfect. The guy from the anime was pretty much doing Willem Dafoe in there. At least the localized American one and Western one.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I've got to duck out.
All right, man. We got one more thing to talk about for the evening. I'll see you, James. See you guys later. So, all right. So we got one more thing to talk about for the evening. Last of which, Destiny 2 has been announced. Yeah. Oh, officially. Like, we haven't known for the last 3 months.
Or the past year.
I actually know a friend of mine actually does the he's a writer for Destiny, and he writes a lot of the flavor text for all the weapons in that game.
Oh, that's cool.
But all right, so who here actually still cares about Destiny as a genre?
I haven't played Destiny since the beta.
Yeah, I kind of at least for me when they first came with those betas, I kind of figured out what their rope-a-dope was, and I'm like, nah, I don't want that. I don't want to just kind of constantly be fighting and no real story. So, but
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, my experience with Destiny was kind of well. First off, I haven't played Destiny in about a year, I would say. And when I did play it, I've only ever done one raid in Destiny. Most of the time that I spent with that was in Crucible, because I thought the multiplayer was really, really well balanced. But I mean, I guess I'll try Destiny 2 at some point to see what that's about. But it's not really something that's going to be a day one purchase for me. That's for sure.
Does anybody remember that Bungie said that there was not going to be a Destiny 2? That Destiny was going to be a constantly
10-year game or something like that?
Yeah, constantly evolving experience.
Oh yeah, I told you it really is still evolving. Now it's gonna be Destiny 2.
Well,
you know what? Where it's gonna go.
You see, if Destiny 2 wants to be successful, they need to figure out their level up system and stick to it. They need to stick to what the game's going to be. Changing how the whole game functions after every expansion. Like the amount of times that my friends would sit there and be like, Taken King really fixed it this time. You should buy it now. And then they're like, oh, Rise of Iron's coming out, so don't bother buying it yet. Wait till Rise of Iron comes out. It really makes the game better. I'm like, so how many DLC packs have you guys bought and the game still isn't that good? Yeah.
I feel like the best part of Destiny is really just the shooting part of it. But the part that portion of it is actually probably the most toned and well done part of it. It's the other parts that kind of fall a little flat. I mean, at least for me, I was expecting this kind of wonderful this world that had a lot of nice lore and all kinds of other stuff, and it just seemed like, hey, look, we're in a bunch of another wasteland, shooting a bunch of monsters.
That's a really good point. Literally, the shooting was the game's only redeeming quality, which is why the only thing I really enjoyed was the competitive multiplayer in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say the original Destiny, it was like Borderlands without the humor or even a story and without a lot of the fun. So it was just good shooting mechanics. And yeah, I don't know, like they really need to step it up. And I feel like they're still going to have a huge audience for this because there's still a huge ton of people that play Destiny.
Oh, yeah.
But the big thing is they got to stop scaring people away with the DLC. A lot of the DLC practices they did with the original Destiny were awful. Like basically everyone got left behind in the Taken King because there was 2 packs before the Taken King that you got for $40, and then the Taken King was $40, and then Rise of Iron was $40. Yet I can go to GameStop and buy the Ultimate Edition for $50. So basically they screwed over any of the early adopters of the game constantly.
Yeah.
There were a lot of problems with that, but my biggest one, and this will be, if they fix this, I'm sold. Actually making classes mean something. Where, and I don't just mean in terms of like Titans and such. I mean like, what's the point of being an exo or a human or an awoken? There was no point. It was just a little cosmetic thing. You're not even gonna see. You have your helmet on the whole time.
Yeah, like I don't even. I mean, I only chose one type of to be, and I mean, they didn't. Did the heads up displays on any of those change? Like, it's like if you're like one of those weird robot guys, right? Is it any different? Like, do you see a different heads up display or different, stuff like that? No.
No, it's literally just a skin. That's it.
It's just a skin. It's there for no reason. Like. I would love if the game made it so like exos are better Titans, and like you could still be something else as a Titan too, but exos are just better, like because they can take more punishment and they don't need to breathe.
Oh, your races make a difference towards your skill set, kind of deal.
Yeah, like it makes a difference, but you could choose to not take advantage of it, or you could.
Well, see if Destiny 2 really wants to sell me. And finding people to play Destiny with isn't a problem. There's tons of people that play Destiny. But what I really want them to focus on is a really well fleshed out story. And the lore items or like collectible kind of deals that you can find, make them accessible and readable in the menu. When I was playing it in the beta, you had to use the mobile app. Or the website. Oh, no, it wasn't even a mobile app. I think it was the website. Sorry.
It was the website, yeah.
It was the website. So if you wanted to learn any of this story, you literally had to pull the website up. And to me, that was just tedious and unnecessary. I'm a guy who when I play through games, if I get collectibles that actually enhance the story, I'll read them. I found all the like journal entries in Quantum Break because it actually made the story a little bit better. And things like that. I really get into those small things that really expand the story. And with Destiny, they made it such an awkward way to do it. And the lack of story was the problem. So I think if they improve on that and actually write a solid storyline that's fully fleshed out, I think they could have a good game.
They kind of did it like the way old PC games would do it, where they would like, you'd buy the game and then there'd be a README text file which had the story of the game in it.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
At least those were in the game. Like that's my thing. I basically got to the point like if it's not in the game, it doesn't exist. like I don't want to go to another website. I don't want to have to purchase something else to know what's going on.
Or mobile apps. Every game, it seems, has a mobile app now. If I download every mobile app for every game I had, I would not have any space left on my tablet.
The one mobile app I thought was actually kind of cool was the one for Metal Gear, where you could listen to all the different tape files.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Outside of the thing, so you didn't need to be like a dumbass, like just watching him inside of his helicopter. Listening to those stupid tapes. You could at least put them on your iPad or whatever and just listen to them there.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, but like that's not a part of the experience, because you could do it in the game too.
Yeah, you can.
That much. But don't was it the worst mobile app I've ever played was Assassin's Creed Unity, where
oh god,
like a third of all, not even a third, more like half of all the loot stuff was locked behind. Like, oh, you have to be in the Initiates program, or oh, you have to have the mobile app and unlock these by playing a dumb video game that doesn't work.
That's stupid.
I was like, ugh. I was so mad. They made really bad choices on that game. Anyway, anything else you guys want to talk about tonight before we wrap up? Anything at all?
No.
No, I'm good.
All right.
You guys excited for Ghost in the Shell?
All right, guys. It's been actually a lot
guess
of fun.
not.
I really enjoyed having you on the show, Emilio. It's been great.
Definitely. It was
You're gonna be always welcome on here, man. Always got more stuff to talk about. So we'll do our outros, wrap things up here. We had Undead on the show.
Thanks for having me on the show. You guys can find me on PlayStation, Xbox, Twitter, everything at Undead3XVI.
Yeah, we had Mike.
Emilio, it was great meeting you, getting to talk to you. Anyway, this is Mike from the Inner Circle. Check me out at ticgn.com. You can add me on everything at Mike P. The Truth. If you want, you could also add me on the Nintendo Switch at 6175-7896-8782. Carrier message and data rates may apply.
That never gets old. Yeah, we had Emilio.
Yeah, I'll see you later, guys. You can actually find me on Twitter at emanland. All there you can find all of my links, as well as the Throwdown. You can go on Throwdown Show, and you can connect to my podcast, which I am the co-host with Tony Polanco.
All right. And this has been Anchorman. You guys can find me on Twitter at AnchormanV2. Find me on Xbox AnchormanV2, PlayStation, Steam, all that kind of crap. I'm all on there. I'm actually on Switch as well. I don't remember anything about what it is. I don't remember my friend.
You don't remember your Switch phone number?
Oh. Yeah, so
I'm waiting for the day someone gets kidnapped and they're going to be like, is this his phone number? No, that's his.
There's a Switch friend code. Find him. Follow the GPS of the Switch tablet for 3 hours. Anyway, guys, this has been a blast. Thanks, guys, very much for showing up. And we are out of here. Remember, this has been the Multiverse Show, episode 48, the greatest show on Mondays. We're out of here.